Hello, friends. Welcome back to my channel here at True Reality Life, where we talk about the true realities of the life around us, beautiful, ugly, and everything in between. So, my name is Amber, and today I just wanted to talk about how to recognize that you are enough, how to stop beating yourself up, to accept what you can't change, and move on from just holding things over your head and being meaner to yourself than you would ever be to anybody else. So I have a really bad habit of this because I have a tendency to beat myself up over situations, even if they're out of my control, or thinking that I could have done better if I had just tried harder. So this is something I've been battling, and it came up in therapy this week, and just something that's been weighing heavy on my heart. So I wanted to get on here and share what I've learned and how I'm processing and practicing to know that I am enough. So I wanted to share that so that we can be on this journey together. So if you're struggling with the same things, just stay tuned. So from growing up, I was always a perfectionist. I wanted everything to be perfect. I would go above and beyond in everything that I did, which now I realize in hindsight was me setting my standards so high so that even if I fell short, it would still be above average. So even if I would shoot for the stars, I would still land on the moon, that saying. So it put a lot of stress on myself to be perfect. I wanted to make my parents proud. I know it sounds horrible, but I wanted to be better than everybody else. I wanted to just prove that I could because I knew if I tried hard enough, then I could. And I am still a firm believer that if you want something bad enough, if you want to learn something, everybody is capable of doing anything if they just try hard enough. I know for some people it comes more naturally than others. Like, I will never be athletic. If I wanted to be, I could really, really work hard at it, but I just have no desire to work that hard at that in order to achieve athleticism. So I'm okay with my academic career, but going forward from setting my standards so high that even if I fell short, it would still be above average. That being said, if I did fall short, I still would beat myself up. I still would say, well, if I had tried harder, if I had just sacrificed sleep and put in a couple more hours towards this project or towards studying or towards spending time with my kids now that I have kids, or whatever else it may be, or if I would have stayed up and cleaned my house, or whatever was struggling me and whatever is struggling for you that you may be beating yourself up about. I learned that there's a name for this and it's called being an internalizer. So it's whenever things in life happen to you or you respond as a result of the life around you and you choose to blame yourself. You beat yourself up saying, well, I could have done this, I could have done this, and just done something differently to change the outcome versus externalizer, which we'll get more in depth in a future video, but externalizers do the opposite. They blame other people or other scenarios like outside sources to where it's never their fault. But I am a really bad internalizer. So everything that happens, I'm like, oh, I should have done better. Somebody cuts me off. I was like, oh my gosh, I was going too fast, or whatever it may be. Somebody gets mad at me or says something, and I always take it personally. If somebody's having a rough day, I always blame myself. Oh, I could have said something nicer. I shouldn't have had that attitude, XYZ, which is not a healthy lifestyle because then I'm just speaking so poorly to myself and that's beating down my self esteem. But I'm also learning like I am my worst critic, and I would never say the things that I say to myself to anybody else. But I'm also realizing too is a lot of times your inner voice is how your parents spoke to you, and I just never felt like I was enough for my parents. And so that could play a role as well, but then I just never got out of that that mode from being protective or blaming myself for everything because that was just what became comfortable. That became my normal. And so I'm trying to retrain my brain to stop internalizing so much, stop blaming myself, and recognize the key to everything is I did my best with the resources that I had at the time. So, whether that be having enough sleep, having enough knowledge, having enough experience, anything like that, it's recognizing that even if you said, oh, well, I should have stayed up longer, I should have done this and that, you did the best with what you had, right? Whether that you only had 2 hours of sleep or you'd never been in this situation before. Because I know as a nurse, it's really bad because especially baby nurses, they go in and you don't have the experience. Or I guess with any job, really, you don't have the experience whenever you first go in. So then a big situation comes up, you don't perform very well. A lot of times, kind of what we've spoken about in previous episodes, is your sympathetic nervous system is activated because you're stressing in a stress situation. So you don't have access to your critical thinking abilities in your brain because you're stressed, and so you're just responding with how you can. And if you don't have the expertise, the knowledge, the experience, the sleep to get there, so the energy to perform, you're not going to have the results that you wish. And even you think about it in hindsight of, oh, I could have done, I could have done, I could have done. But could you have, like, you might be able to do that, respond that way now that you're thinking about it and processing it. But at the time of, you didn't have access to that knowledge. Or if you're a new nurse or new in any profession, you're not going to even have that knowledge to access because you have never been there or done that. And what I'm realizing too is life is really just one big career. Like, it's a big profession. We're all in this game of life, and the more experience you have is the more prepared you're going to be in any scenario. So you can't blame yourself if you don't have that experience. You wouldn't get mad at a 15-year-old for not being able to pay the bills because they've never had to before, or shouldn't have had to before, I should say, because not every situation is ideal. But you wouldn't get mad at them because they've never experienced that before. So you wouldn't get mad at somebody else coming into a job who's never done it before. I mean, some people do. Some people, oh, a new hire and they're not performing the way you thought, but you get kind of defensive. I know from like a management perspective, you might be annoyed at people not knowing how to do things, but you can't really be bothered by it because they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. You don't know how to do something if you've never done it before, if somebody's never taken the time to teach you, or if you've never done it yourself. Even if you've read it in a textbook or watched a video on it, you've never practiced it, it's not going to become natural to you. So it's going to take extra effort in order for you to apply anything that you've learned appropriately. So if you wouldn't beat somebody else up, why are you beating yourself up over it? I'm I'm having to come to that realization of I've just been so mean to myself. And if I separate myself from like my inner child, or I know in my therapy work I've been trying to separate the two because I have a tendency of being able to be more empathetic towards others but not towards myself. But if I view part of myself as an external person, like as a teenage version of me, a child version of me, I'm able to be more empathetic to that side of myself. And I've done a lot of healing in that way. But it's just recognizing that you really did your best with what you had at the time. I'm working on accepting that I can't change everything. I can't change anything really. If I can change it, I'm going to fix it. If it's out of my control, then I need to just accept it. But it's an ongoing practice. It's not something that will happen overnight. It's a matter of reciting every time you find yourself in that mental loop of, oh, I should have done this, or I could have done, or XYZ. Could you have? Could you really have in that situation? Because as humans, we really are born innately good. Like, genuinely, if you see a child, like, no child's gonna be malicious right off the bat. It's what they're shown and what they're taught that creates that negativity in the world. But most people want to do good. Anytime that people are responding negatively, it's usually a trauma response from experiences that they've gone through and haven't processed or learned from. So a lot of times it's a matter of trying to be considerate to people as they're also working through their traumas. But you have to be considerate of yourself as you're working through your traumas too. And recognizing that you are valuable regardless of how you respond. You are worthy of love and grace regardless of how a situation turned out. It does not have to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect to be loved, to be good enough, because you are enough just showing up. We show up the best that we can. I don't think anybody is ever intentionally lazy or wanting to do a bad job. Usually, laziness is a result of like fatigue, burnout, overwhelm, which is something I definitely want to get into in a future episode of being overwhelmed, man, really makes you not want to do anything. I know for me, with that ADHD side of myself, you think of all these millions of things that you need to do, and instead of just starting, you sit there and overthink and loop in your mind of everything that you need to get done, and it just becomes overwhelming to the point you just want to be distracted. So you get on your phone, scroll, all of those fun things. But that's not laziness. That's literally you being overwhelmed, or there's usually a root cause for laziness. So it's a matter of like stepping back from your life and becoming more of an observer of what's going on and treating yourself how you would treat somebody else. Because oftentimes, if you're more like of a researcher into your own responses of being like, well, why was I like this? Why did I respond the way that I did? Why did I sit on the couch for 3 hours instead of getting up and doing the laundry? Like there is a fine line between laziness and accountability because you don't want to just make excuses constantly, but you're the only person that knows your truth. So you often know which one it is. But give yourself some grace knowing that a lot of times we are doing the best that we can and we just don't have all of the resources all of the time. But my favorite analogy for this is like the three little pigs that they all go and build a house with the resources that they have. They do the literal best that they can. So one has straw, one has sticks, and one has bricks or something. I don't remember how it goes. But they build a house each, and regardless of how well they built the house with their resources, the wolf could still come blow down the straw or the sticks. But it wasn't until the that third pig had the right resources of brick and mortar to really keep the wolf from breaking in. And it's just like that in life. Like we just may not have the resources to be performing at the skill level that we want to, or just in the way that we're wanting to. So it's our job not to beat ourselves up over what we didn't do, but to be proactive in building our toolbox, building resources through podcasts or books or even YouTube videos or whatever it may be that helps you to grow and learn. And sometimes that may just even be experience. Because you think about some old people and the ones with the most life experience, and they don't care. They really do not care how they've responded because they know so much. They have so many resources under their belt, so they know that they did the best with their resources. And we are just scratching the surface of the resources available to us and the abilities that we have. So it's a matter of building our toolbox to have those resources so that we can be better. And instead of saying, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm broken, or I'm this, accept yourself where you're at and recognize that you are on a journey of learning and growth. You wouldn't expect somebody to be a professional at something while they're still in school. So stop expecting yourself to be a professional at life when every single day is school. It's education, it's a learning opportunity, and we will never reach perfection, ever. So just show up the best that you can and just recognize the resources that you have or the resources that you have control over. So if you feel like you performed poorly at one thing, maybe educate yourself more on that or ask for more experience in that. Or sometimes, a lot of times, it may just be lack of sleep because we choose to stay up and scroll on our phones for hours instead of going to sleep. So that's something that we have control over to force ourselves to get some sleep and do some self-care so that we can show up the best that we can for ourselves and others every single day. But you are enough. You did try enough. You did do enough. You were just doing it with the resources you had, and that's all you can do. You wouldn't be mad at somebody that couldn't build a two-story house out of straw. You wouldn't be mad at them if that's all that they had. So stop being mad at yourself for not having the resources at the time of. You are doing enough. You are trying hard enough. So stop beating yourself up. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This has been something that, I just really felt the need to get on here because I really feel like this will reach somebody. It's definitely something that I've been thinking about pretty consistently. I have a really bad habit of beating myself up. So if that's you, I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope this was helpful. But if you have any questions, just let me know. Or any comments, comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. We post videos every Wednesday. So stay tuned, turn the notifications on, and thank you so much for joining me here today on True Reality Life. Love you guys. Bye.